Jesse and Erin were roaming the beach. It was deserted. The holidays were nearly over and most visitors had packed up the tents and caves. The twins prodded clumps of seaweed and turned over driftwood. Erin picked up a piece to show Jesse. "Hey, look at this, it looks like a dinosaur," she laughed. "Careful, Erin," said Jesse. "It's got an old fishing line and hook cord on it." Erin turned the wood over and saw a rusty hook sticking out. "Ouch, I'm glad I didn't step on that. I'll go and throw it in the bin." After running to the bin and back, she found Jesse poking something with a stick. "What is it?" Jesse hooked the tattered plastic bag with his stick and held it up so Erin could see. It was half full of rotting bait. "Oh, that stinks," said Erin. "How can people leave their disgusting rubbish lying around?" "This is really bad," said Jesse. "A turtle could eat this and have a stomach full of plastic and die." "Throw it in the bin too," said Erin. "Hey, I've had an idea," she said when Jesse rejoined her. "Why don't we clean up this beach? Just think how many plastic bags there might be lying around that could be blown into the sea, and we can do something to stop it." "Okay, but let's tell Grandma first." "What a great idea," said Grandma. "And do you know, I think I'll come and give you a hand." "What about the post office?" asked Erin. "Oh, I'll ask Percy to fill in for a few hours," said Grandma, referring to her old friend who lived next door. "Jesse, grab the gardening gloves from the shed. Erin, under the kitchen sink you'll find the garbage bags and the rubber gloves I use for washing up. Grab those, would you?" The twins collected everything Grandma had asked for, and with hats and reapplied sunscreen, the three set off for the beach. They found all sorts of rubbish along the shoreline. Sunshine Cove was a very popular place in the summer. "Yuck!" yelled Jesse. "I've just found a disposable nappy and it's been used." They worked carefully and made sure no shards of glass were left in the sand. "Imagine if a little kid stepped on this glass," said Erin. "Someone must have had a party under here," said Jesse. "But why did they smash all the bottles and leave such a mess?" Grandma straightened up and stretched her back. "People can make some very bad decisions when they're drinking alcohol," she said. "Well, let's wash our hands and go and get an ice cream. I'm thinking about another story, actually." "It's Daniel again, isn't it, Grandma?" asked Erin.
King Nebuchadnezzar had taken Jewish captives back to Babylon. Among them was a young man called Daniel, who rose up to be the chief of all the king's wise men. When Daniel was older, King Nebuchadnezzar died and was succeeded by King Belshazzar. King Belshazzar sent out invitations to a great feast for 1,000 of his nobles. King Nebuchadnezzar had taken objects from the temple when he had invaded Jerusalem, including gold and silver cups. King Belshazzar wanted these cups to be used at the feast for his guests to drink wine. So the king and his nobles and wives drank wine from cups taken from God's temple. While they drank from them, they praised their idols made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Suddenly, they saw the fingers of a human hand writing on the plaster wall of the king's palace near the lampstand. The king's face turned pale with fright, his knees knocked together in fear, and his legs gave way beneath him. The king shouted for the enchanters, astrologers, and fortune-tellers to be brought to him. "Whoever can read this writing and tell me what it means will be dressed in purple robes of royal honour and will have a gold chain placed around his neck. He will become the third highest ruler in the kingdom." But none of the king's wise men could read the writing or tell him what it meant. The king grew even more alarmed, and his face turned pale. His nobles, too, were shaken. The Queen Mother heard what was happening, and she hurried to the banquet hall. "There is a man who has divine knowledge. In Nebuchadnezzar's reign, a Jew called Daniel was found to have understanding and wisdom. He can interpret dreams, explain riddles, and solve difficult problems. Call for Daniel. He will tell you what the writing means." Daniel was brought before the king. "I am told that you can give interpretations and solve difficult problems," the king said. "If you can read these words and tell me their meaning, you will be clothed in purple robes of royal honour, and you will have a gold chain placed around your neck. You will become the third highest ruler in the kingdom." "You can keep your gifts," Daniel told him. "Like Nebuchadnezzar, you have become proud and arrogant. You have defied the Lord of heaven by drinking wine from these cups and by praising gods of silver, gold, bronze, iron, wood, and stone." So God sent his hand to write this message: Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. This is what those words mean. Mene means numbered. God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel means weighed. You have been weighed on the balances and have not measured up. Parsi means divided. Your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. At Belshazzar's command, Daniel was dressed in purple robes and a gold chain was hung around his neck. He was proclaimed the third highest ruler in the kingdom. That very night, Belshazzar, the Babylonian king, was killed, and Darius the Mede took over the Babylonian kingdom.
"That king must have been crazy to take God's special cups," said Erin. "And to toast idols with them," added Jesse. "What was he thinking?" "Well, he thought he could get away with it," said Grandma. "But even a king can't get away with sin." They walked back onto the old wooden jetty and looked down along the sand. The tide was on the turn and the beach looked beautiful. Now it was only littered with objects like shells and seaweed and coral. "The beach was so polluted this morning," said Jessie, "but now it looks clean." "Grandma," said Erin, "people need to clean up their lives like we cleaned up this beach." "Well, people try and clean up their lives, Erin, but do you know, they just can't do it." "Why not? It just takes a bit of work." "The rubbish you're talking about is sin, and you could work hard at trying to clean it up your whole life. Trying to be good, trying to do the right thing. But there's only one way to get rid of sin. You have to ask Jesus to come and take it all away. And when Jesus cleans up your life, you're as pretty as the beach here at Sunshine Cove. Oh, much, much prettier." "It's so easy, Grandma," said Jessie. You don't have to do any work at all?" "Not one bit. Jesus has already done all the work. He died for everyone's sin, then rose from the dead. People only have to believe in him and receive him as their saviour." "Whoa," said Jessie. "That's the biggest clean-up operation ever." Thanks for watching. Go to kuikidsministry.com.au and you can read the story for yourself and download the colouring sheet for free. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.